Hola muchachos, this is a slideshow that contains a good number of expressions, questions, answers, comments, etc. They're divvied up into categories, and I don't want you to think that you have to get all of these down all at once. There's nothing in this lesson that is not practical. Nothing here that you will not hear in common conversation in any Hispanic country. So I thought it would be useful for you to try to start inserting these along with what you already know, making sentences with the vocabulary and structures that you've studied already. These will add to that. And some of them include things that we've learned, and some of them are completely new. But they are all practical, and I encourage you to try to use them, to try to find them in different contexts. For example, in the listening comprehension exercises, videos that I might put online in the extra resources. Listen for these expressions in places like that and try to use them yourselves. I will go over these a few times, try to do what I've suggested before, which is to listen and then to repeat them out loud. I'll try to leave you enough time to be able to do that without having to talk over the next expression. Por favor. Por favor. Gracias. Gracias. De nada. De nada. Remember that D is pronounced like a soft TH, not like a hard D like we say. So you don't want to get the de nada. You want de nada. No hay de qué. No hay de qué. De igual manera. De igual manera. You can use that if after you've met someone, for example, if they say something like encantado or mucho gusto, nice to meet you, you could say de igual manera. Or if someone were to tell you to have a good day or a Merry Christmas or whatever, you can respond de igual manera, the way we would. Disculpa, disculpa, disculpe, disculpe. And this informal and formal, disculpa is for someone young or your age or someone with whom you're familiar. Disculpe, you would say to someone, maybe a stranger, if you were younger and you were talking to someone, maybe a teacher or some sort of officer or whatever, you would use the formal usted, and the verb ending disculpa and disculpe change accordingly. Lo siento. Lo siento. Perdone. Perdone. You can also just say perdón. Perdón. In any conversation, when you're getting to know someone, it's often useful to be able to talk about their interests, what they like to do, or what they do as a career. ¿Qué te gusta hacer? ¿Qué te gusta hacer? And it's not in the slide, but you could respond, me gusta, and then a verb, right? Because this wants to know what you want to do, so you're going to have to respond with a verb. Me gusta nadar, me gusta leer, me gusta mirar la tele, me gusta cocinar, etc. Mi pasatiempo favorito es. Mi pasatiempo favorito es. And this accomplishes the same thing as saying me gusta and a verb. Here you would say mi pasatiempo favorito es, and then the verb in the infinitive, leer. Mi pasatiempo favorito es bailar. Mi favorito or favorita es. So if you're referring to someone asks you your favorite movie, your favorite book, movie, as we know, is película, it's feminine, and libro is masculine. So you would change favorito accordingly. Favorito or favorita, depending on what it was that you're talking about here. And here's the plural. ¿Cuáles son tus pasatiempos? This is just requesting a list. ¿Cuáles son tus pasatiempos? And to respond to this, you could say, me gusta, whatever. You could say, mi pasatiempo favorito es, and whatever verb. You could also just list verbs. ¿Cuáles son tus pasatiempos? And you could just respond leer, bailar, jugar al béisbol, etc. ¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre? This is also trying to elicit what you do in your free time, your hobbies, I guess, as well. ¿Qué haces tú en tu tiempo libre? ¿Qué haces tú en tu tiempo libre? In this case, you could respond the same way you have up above, or you can respond here by saying, I do these things, in which case you're going to need to change the verb ending to the yo form. For example, yo bailo, cocino, nado, etc. But you could also respond just in the infinitive. ¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre? Nadar, bailar, leer, much as you did for the questions about your hobbies or ¿qué te gusta hacer? Moving on to your work life. ¿En qué trabajas? ¿En qué trabajas tú? Referring to you, so you're going to respond yo. What? We could say our profession, yo soy profesor, or yo soy policía, yo soy detective, yo soy enfermera, yo soy doctor. Or you could say, yo trabajo en un banco. Yo trabajo en la escuela. As possible answers. ¿Te gusta tu trabajo? ¿Te gusta tu trabajo? Asking how you relate to your job, whether you like it or not. And you could say, sí, me gusta mucho, or no, no me gusta, or sí, me encanta mi trabajo. Me encanta mi trabajo. Or the negative, no me gusta mi trabajo. Here again is the yo form. Trabajo en la escuela, trabajo en un banco, trabajo en el hospital. Yo soy doctor. Yo soy profesor. Yo soy ingeniero, engineer. Or just some sample sentences responding to what you like, likes and work. Me encanta el café. ¿Quieres ir a tomar una taza? Me encanta el café. ¿Quieres ir? There's one of those two verb structures. Do you want to go? ¿Quieres ir a tomar una taza? Actually, there we have three verbs. ¿Quieres ir a tomar? Tomar, ir, and querer. Yo trabajo en una escuela. Trabajo en una escuela. Soy profesor. Soy profesor. Note that when we're expressing professions, we typically do not use an article like we do in English. I am a teacher. We don't usually say soy un profesor. We just say soy profesor. Soy policía. Soy doctor. Let's move on to some common questions in Spanish. Remember, we studied the question words donde, qué, cuándo, quién, de quién, etc. And we use those words to elicit information from someone in a complete sentence question. And here are some examples. ¿Me puede ayudar usted, por favor? ¿Me puede ayudar usted, por favor? And I've put usted here because puede is the usted form. So this is a formal you in which you're asking. If you wanted to ask your friend, you would say, ¿Me puedes ayudar? So you'd add an S for the to form of poder, to be able or can. ¿Me puedes ayudar tú, por favor? Or ¿me puede ayudar usted, por favor? ¿Me puede ayudar con esto? ¿Me puede ayudar con esto? This is something you might ask if you were in a store. That would be a perfect circumstance in which you need some help with something. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Also in a store. ¿Cuánto cuesta? So you can also say ¿cuánto es? ¿Cuánto es? Or ¿cuánto cuesta? If it's a singular something. If it's plural, ¿cuánto cuestan? So, los zapatos. ¿Cuánto cuestan estos zapatos? ¿Cuánto cuesta el libro? ¿Cuánto cuestan los libros? Again, changing the ending of the verb depending on the subject of the sentence. Perhaps one of the most important questions that you will ever learn and have to know. ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿A qué hora es? Some event. So, ¿a qué hora es la clase? ¿A qué hora es el concierto? El baile, the dance. ¿Pasa algo? Algo is something. ¿Pasa algo? This is a yes-no question. So there's no information question word at the beginning. It starts with a verb. Yes, no questions start with a verb. ¿Pasa algo? And then we move on to an information question. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? What's the matter? What's wrong? What's going on? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Sabes qué pasa? ¿Sabes tú qué pasa? So this is a two form of the verb saber, to know. So do you know qué pasa? ¿Sabes qué pasa? ¿A dónde debemos ir a comer? This is a little bit of a complex sentence because you've got another case of three verbs together. Debemos ir a comer. You're soliciting a suggestion for an eating place. ¿A dónde debemos ir a comer? ¿Estás listo? ¿Estás lista? So I'm asking Juan, ¿estás listo, Juan? With an O at the end. And I'm asking Maria, ¿estás lista, Maria? And again, depending on whether they were male or female, they would answer either estoy listo or estoy lista. And again, estás is the to form, and estoy is the yo form, and estás listo is a yes-no question, starting with a verb. Here are a couple yes-no questions, starting with verbs. ¿Es esto correcto? ¿Es esto correcto? ¿Estoy equivocado? Or ¿estoy equivocada? Here's a request framed as a yes-no question. ¿Puedes traerme something, por favor? So we're going to put a noun in there. Somebody's bringing you something. ¿Puedes traerme 2 tacos, por favor? ¿Puedes traerme un vaso de agua, por favor? ¿Puedes traerme agua, por favor? ¿Puedo entrar? ¿Puedo entrar? Note that it sounds a little bit better to say me permite up above rather than puedo. So me permite would be the formal and me permites would be the informal to form. But that is, do you permit me to go in? Am I allowed? May I? May I? As opposed to can I? Puedo entrar. You can change to me permite entrar, in which you're permitting me. In the first one, can I? So the first case, it's I. That's why we have the O at the end of puedo. In the second, it's me permite. Do you permit me to go? ¿Quieres tomar una copa? ¿Quieres tomar una copa? Here are some common exclamations, celebrations, and well wishes for special occasions. Oh, cuánto tiempo sin verte. would be the to form. Cuánto tiempo sin verlo, if it's a male. Cuánto tiempo sin verla, if it's a female. Feliz cumpleaños. Feliz cumpleaños. Buena suerte. Buena suerte. Alto. Alto. Detente. Detente. The informal form, and in the formal one, deténgase. Deténgase. Salud. Salud. And I end that with a soft TH. Salud. I don't say salud. Salud. Que te mejores. In the to form. Que te mejores. And then in the usted form. Que se mejore usted. Que se mejore usted. Buen provecho. Buen provecho. So what you would say to somebody before they're going to chow down. Cuídate. Cuídate. Cuídese. Cuídese. Felicitaciones. Felicitaciones. Bien hecho. Bien hecho. If you're giving a thumbs up in these expressions here, bien hecho, then you could say, oh, estupendo. Estupendo. Thumbs up to a movie, to how someone has done a job. You know, their backflip was just estupendo. Somebody has a great idea. Genial. Genial. What do you think of that movie? Genial. ¿Te gusta esa película? Genial. Estupenda. I would say estupenda about la película. Increíble. Something you're having trouble believing. Increíble. Some especially helpful common phrases in Spanish. You may be in a situation where you require some assistance, so you would say something like, necesito ayuda. Necesito ayuda. Llámame cuando llegues. Llámame cuando llegues. Me voy a casa. Me voy a casa. Necesito ir a, and then a place. Necesito ir al aeropuerto. Necesito ir a la policía. Necesito ir al hospital. ¿Cómo llegó hasta ahí? Perdón. That would be the past tense. The present tense. ¿Cómo llego hasta ahí? I need some directions. ¿Cómo llego hasta ahí? No sé. No sé. You might say this to a shrug of your shoulders. No sé. No tengo idea. No tengo idea. A question. Both of these are synonymous. ¿Lo entiendes? ¿Lo entiendes? ¿Lo comprendes? ¿Lo comprendes? No entiendo. No entiendo. No comprendo. No comprendo. I've shown you these fairly recently in a previous class. These are polite ways of requesting something or expressing your desire for something. Yo quisiera. You can say yo quiero, I want. This is I would like, and it sounds, as is the case in English, it sounds more polite to say I would like than I want. Quisiera. Quisiera dos enchiladas, por favor. Or quisiera una botella de Coca-Cola. Me gustaría hablar contigo. I would like to talk to you. Me gustaría hablar contigo. Contigo is with you. ¿Puede hablar más despacio, por favor? ¿Puede hablar más despacio, por favor? And I have these in caps because you could say más despacio, por favor, and use some sort of slowing down, putting on the brakes gesture. Because what will happen invariably is you say hello in Spanish or thank you or you're welcome, and the person the native speaker is thinking, oh, you're bilingual, you're fluent, because you know how to say hello and goodbye, and you're not, and then you get lost, and you might they're rattling something off, and you might want to say, más despacio, por favor. And then, no entiendo, right? I don't understand, no entiendo, más despacio, por favor. So this is a very useful expression. These are the types of things that you'll hear a lot, and they're natural ways. We have them in English. Let me see. Things that you say to fill some space while you're thinking. Expressions. Aber. You often hear someone say, a teacher will say this a lot, or someone on TV, a ver, while they're thinking of what their question or their response is going to be. Pues, and then you make your statement. Pues, bueno, sabes, the famous you know in English at the end of a statement. You know what I mean? Tú sabes. Por supuesto. Someone has asked you to help them, and you might respond, por supuesto. Did you do your homework? Por supuesto. ¿Practicaste el español? Por supuesto. A synonym, I don't have it here, but a synonym is claro, claro. Por supuesto, claro, C-L-A-R-O, claro, por supuesto. Por otra parte, pero, you're always waiting for the shoe to drop here with pero, de verdad, something incredible sounding. You might say, de verdad. This you'll hear a lot. Dios mío, Dios mío. Something, again, incredible. You might say, de verdad, Dios mío. Sometimes they'd be combined. It's so incredible. Entonces, this is a transition word. Entonces, and it also conveys the notion of then. So then I went to the market. Entonces, so what happened then? Entonces, así que, this is also a transition word. Así que, and then you would make your statement. What I'm going to do here is use these expressions and then just create a sentence afterward that might be logical given this particular circumstance. A ver, eres de Renton, ¿no? A ver, eres tú de Renton, ¿no? Pues no quiero trabajar mucho hoy. Pues no quiero trabajar mucho hoy. Bueno, vamos a bailar en la sala. Bueno, vamos a bailar en la sala. ¿Sabes cómo hablar inglés? ¿Sabes cómo hablar inglés? Por supuesto. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos. The United States. Los Estados Unidos. Por otra parte, no me gusta viajar. Por otra parte, no me gusta viajar. Pero ella es muy buena estudiante. Pero ella es muy buena estudiante. ¿De verdad vas al concierto hoy? ¿De verdad vas al concierto hoy? Dios mío, ese carro es muy bonito, pero caro. Caro is expensive. Dios mío, ese carro es muy bonito, pero caro. Entonces, yo no voy a comer hasta más tarde. Entonces, yo no voy a comer hasta más tarde. Until later. Entonces, no voy a comer hasta más tarde. Así que ellos no son de aquí. Así que ellos no son de aquí. So this slideshow has presented you with a lot of content, And I would just encourage you to try little by little to incorporate these very useful, very common, very practical expressions as you continue to learn Spanish. These are things that you can use immediately to express something that you want to get across to a Spanish speaker. Buena suerte.